Hey baby boomers, today I want to talk to you about your very first car, the first car that you had when you started off driving that was actually your own. I'm Glenn, thanks for checking out my retirement channel. Watch for the cartoon at the end. I always put a cartoon at the end, so check that out. Stay around through the whole video so you can see that. My first car was a Volkswagen Beetle, a green Volkswagen Beetle, and I want to talk about that a little bit further on in some of my experiences, and they might be experiences you can relate to. So what kind of car was your first car? We'll talk about that right after this. So let's talk about that cool car that you had from the past, your very first car. What was that like? Was it one that your parents bought for you, or was that one that you had to save up money and buy for yourself? I think it was probably pretty cheap in those days back for us baby boomers. And like for me, my first vehicle wasn't really cool, but I got to drive my dad's farm truck. And it was a half-ton truck. It had a fuel tank in the back. And I thought, oh, that's not cool at all. The girls aren't going to like that. I used to try to convince my dad, can I take the tank out when I go to town? And he's like, well, it's almost full. We can't pull it out. And I'm like, oh, we can get it out if we need to. But I just didn't think it was cool driving around with a farm fuel tank in the back of my truck. Anyways, I lost most of those battles and ended up having to drive the truck the way it was. And then I had to kind of look around and see what everybody else was driving. A lot of friends were driving some pretty cool cars like Novas and Mustangs and other things like that. A lot of them, when they turned 16, were off the farm and they had a little bit more cash flow than I did. And so they had a little bit nicer vehicle than my 65 Volkswagen Beetle that just wasn't anything special. And so a lot of them, I think, bought cars that were ready. I mean, some people like to buy a car that they fixed up, but mine wasn't like that. And did you get to drive to school? If you were in the rural areas, did you get to drive your car to school, or did you have to ride the school bus? It was a big deal if you could drive your car to school and pull up into the parking lot and everybody's like, oh, look at them, you know, they're 16 and they got their own car. That's pretty cool. Especially the girls. I think they like that, you know. So my Volkswagen Beetle was kind of special in the fact that I had pinstriped the whole thing. It was green. I pinstriped the whole thing. I painted the rims black. I painted the nuts white. The radio inside this Volkswagen Beetle was upside down, didn't have any numbers on it, so I painted a little mural in there, which was kind of cool. I got seat covers from a cousin's truck, and I covered all the seats with that and put chrome tailpipes on the back, and it was yeah, it looked as hot as it could be. Oh, I had a big beetle sticker or bug sticker, I can't remember, beetle sticker on the side, on each side, and so it looked as hot as a 65 Volkswagen Beetle could possibly be. And so it was my great car. It wasn't exactly the kind of car that you're going to get girls to ride in, especially in the winter time. We had to disconnect the heater because it took more heat or more gas than the car did. So a lot of times it would kind of frost up. One time I gave a girl a ride home and she had to use the scraper to scrape the ice off the inside of the windshield. And so needless to say, that did not turn into a relationship, right? And then there was one time when I was driving that little car, that 65, it had a 40 horse motor in it. It really didn't have a lot of power. I was driving to school one day. I saw the school bus ahead of me that I used to ride on. I thought, I'm going to pass that thing. I tried to go by it, and it was on a bit of an incline. I got right beside it, and I couldn't get past it because I had no power. Plus, the kids are looking out the window at me, laughing, knowing that something's not right. So I went back in behind the bus, waited for it to start going down the hill, and then I just pinned her, and I shot by them, kind of like the big shot that I was in my 65 Volkswagen. So I'm sure you had some embarrassing moments too. I'd sure like to get some comments here back what kind of car you had when you were younger, what your first car was. We'll talk about more of that right after this. As we kind of reviewed the first vehicle or mode of transportation we had when we turned 16, when we first got our license, it's always fun to look back and to think all the cars that we had over all the years that we baby boomers had. If you start stacking them all up, it adds up to quite a bit. So, hey, if you like some of the stuff we're talking about, make sure you follow this channel. I'd love to have you follow. I'd love to have your comments down below. Send me the comments. Also, check out the cartoon that's at the end. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a cartoonist. I always add a cartoon at the end. I think you might find that interesting. Remember to smile at somebody today. Keep your stick on the ice. We'll see you next time.